Hello. Why does it look like I have a bruise on my forehead? What the heck? Hello, hello, hello. I would actually like to know, what is a good time for you? Do you prefer the earlier, like the 5:15ish during the week, or would you prefer later, like an 8? Good. I'm glad your day was good. We got a few things to talk about today because I'm irritated by some people. Everything that we talk about is alleged. Alleged. It's our opinion. It doesn't matter to you? Okay, cool. I want to get like a little bit of input from you guys as far as times because I hate to go, hey, Fizzy. Who, me, Fizzy, or Monty? I am on time. I like to be on time. I don't like to make people wait and then wonder if I'm going to show up or not because I noticed that, yeah, you saw that too, Fizzy? Hey, True Crime X. Yeah, I like to be on time. I don't want to make you guys wonder, like, is she going to show up or not? Like, if I'm not going to be able to show up, then I will make a post of, if I've already scheduled a time and I'm not going to be able to make it for some odd reason. Hey, Chris. Um, I will definitely like make a post and be like, hey, just so you guys know, I'm not showing up. But it would be like way in advance so you guys aren't waiting or wondering. I don't like when that happens to me when I'm waiting on somebody. So, oh yeah, Fizzy. You know, I used to be like that with like when I was younger, I would be like 30 minutes early, but that's because I had anxiety so bad about whatever I was going to do or whatever the appointment was. Now I'm like, I sit here and I'm ready probably 10 minutes early. And then I just go live when it's, about a minute till or right on time. Yeah, lateness sucks. I don't want to be late and do that to other people, but I also don't want people to be late when, I have something I want scheduled with them or whatever. I want them to show up on time. One second, let me blow my nose. It always starts running right when I see you guys. 1 minute. Okie dokie. We'll give people a couple of minutes to come in. Does anybody, I asked this as soon as I popped on. I wasn't sure if you guys heard it, but I was just curious about times for you guys. Does this 5:15-ish work just during the week? Or would you prefer something later, like an 8 or a 9 during the week? I know for some people that might be too late. Doing the meth. Wait, you can snort meth? Or wait, can I even say that on live? Hey, Miss Bianca, how was your day? I know if I don't stop doing it, Monty, I'm going to turn into Molly McMethical. So, Fizzy, if you were a military brat, were you also then in the military? Did you take the same route? All right, all right. I have a couple things I want to talk about. No, you didn't. I don't. I give military people like huge props. Hey, Angie, welcome, welcome. I give military people huge props. Like that is, I love a routine and, doing the same thing at a certain time every day. I'm a creature of habit. I love all that, but to me military would be so difficult. Maybe it's just the exercise part, I don't know. You got your mom's metabolism. That is so funny. That is so funny. You're like, yeah, no, I don't think this is for me. Ah, Fizzy, that is so funny. Hey, Mark and Betty, with your cute little paws next to your name. All right. I'm gonna get started. First, um, I like to be very transparent with everybody. I want you guys to know what I'm working on when I'm working on it and what my goal is, whether it's big or small. Um, yeah, Fizzy, but if you went into the military, then it would probably come off, right? You became a nurse. I work in the medical field too. Good for you. I love all the nurses I work with. Nurses are great. Um, okay, so what I was saying is I like to be transparent with you guys, whether it's something small I'm working on or big I'm working on or just something that's going on with the channel or people or anything. I like to include you guys. I don't want to be the channel, honestly, that like hides everything from everybody and then comes on and has like this really big boom. I don't care about being that person. I care about working collectively as a group. I think that all of us have really great ideas and thought processes and, just everything. And I think that we will find answers faster and better if we all put our brains together. And if you guys know, like, oh, she's digging into this, let me dig a little bit too and see if I can come up with more information or whatever. I think that is more important to me than being a creator that has big booms or whatever. That's not what's important to me. It's finding the truth. And that's what everybody, whether you're a guilter or a pro burger or neither, that's really everybody's goal, is to come up with the answers and figure out what we're being lied to about and what is fact, what is truth, and what is made up. And thanks, Monty. And so, anyways, with being transparent, I just want to let you guys know there was a good, yes, I'm glad you're here too. There was a channel earlier today that took my post, and my post was about the toxicology report. And I said, I'm angry. I'm angry because we are being lied to. It seems like every topic, every page we turn, there's some sort of lie in there. And somebody took my post, and I didn't even know who they were. Somebody took my post and made it sound like they shared it and said, I was angry because I wanted the roommates to be on rugs and have rugs in their system. And when I found out that they didn't, it made me angry because I wanted the victims to have rugs in their system. That is so twisted and so far from the truth. Yeah, ridiculous. So I commented on it, and I'm like, I'm not being mean at all, but that is very twisted and that's so far from the truth. The part that I'm angry about is that we keep being lied to. You can't tell us in the documents that there was a, yes, Fizzy. Yes, you got it. And honestly, I hadn't even heard of her before. So I didn't even know like what was going on. Like, why is this person doing this? But now I get why she is doing it, for her own clicks and views, because what she took my post as and totally twisted it for her people. I was like, you didn't even, that's not what I was saying at all. Like, why are you twisting it? Yeah, exactly. True crime X. Um, it didn't really irritate me. I didn't feel the need to like stick up for myself. I just wanted to make sure that it was like, I didn't want her people to think like I'm this horrible person either, and that I want people to be on rugs and that be the reason or the lead or whatever. And I don't want that. But it makes a difference. It makes a difference how intoxicated they were. It makes a difference if there was rugs in their system. Some substances make your blood a lot thinner, so they could have bled out faster, or were they incapacitated and couldn't fight back? And that's why the toxicology to me is so important, because it does make a difference. I wasn't angry that they weren't on rugs. I was angry because we know that at least one, possibly two of them were using. So the fact they come out, hey Leslie and Billy, good to see you. And so because they come out and say no rugs in their system, however, in the documents, it says there's a rolled up bill next to rugs, not rugs in a bag, but rugs actually on the table itself. So I'm picturing a bill rolled up next to a line. And you're not just gonna put a line out and that's your first line and just leave it there. Like, that's never going to happen for people that use rugs. That line that was on the table was probably the last of whatever they bought, and they were waiting to either use it when they got home together or at the next night at a party, or when they had people over or whatever. Hey, Top. So we know in the documents that more than likely at least one of them was using rugs nasally. So for them to come out and say in a toxicology that they didn't have anything in their system other than alcohol is BS. Absolutely, Fizzy. Even if it was in a bag, the rolled up bill suggests that it was being used by someone. And we also know, hello, Ray. And we also know that even their friends were saying, oh, Xana and Ethan were really into the white substance that makes you go fast, that starts with a C, Coca-Cola. And then they were also really into Adderall, and that's what their own best friends were saying. She said, so Papa Roger was Papa Roger. Is that true, or are you just saying that because that's funny? Is his real name actually Papa Roger? That is hilarious if that's true. Sorry, my work just messaged me real quick. I just wanted to make her aware. Okay. Papa Roger was Papa Roger. I can't get over that. That is too funny. So yeah, I'm upset about the toxicology, and it's annoying when people twist your words, and that's it. So I just wanted to be transparent about that. Make sure you guys know that the crap talking has begun directed at this channel. Don't you guys get so angry when you stumble upon a guilter's post or video and they're completely just ignoring all the facts that we know and saying whatever they want? Like, I came across one today and she was like, we know that Brian Koberger was sitting outside 1122 King Road 23 times. We don't know if he went in the house 23 times, but he was right outside of the house 23 times. And I'm like, that's a blatant lie. No, he wasn't. The closest he ever got could have been, and he could have not even been that close, but the closest he could have ever got, according to all the evidence they got off of his phone and maps and everything else, was further away than a football field. That's as close as he ever got. The length of a football field. I don't know how much intel you can get from, that's kind of far away when you have to, and in the dark, you have to look through trees and around houses. And it's a neighborhood. It's not out in the country. Yes, I did too. True Crime X. I'm pretty sure I commented. It might have been a different video, but I'm pretty sure I commented. I don't know what is wrong with that stop. I don't understand. I don't see what's wrong with it. I don't know how people can use that stop and use it as something bad against him. He was honest that he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. They're like, oh, look, he's creeping in the dark. So what? It's not like he was pulled over at 1122 King Road's driveway. Like, he was we know he was in Moscow. He shopped in Moscow. He went to Target there. He bought his food there. I mean, it's super close. People act like they say all the way in Moscow. It's a 10-minute drive. It's not that far. I can't even get across town in 10 minutes in the town I live in. Like, it's not that far. Yeah, and you're right. Oh, whoops, wrong button. You're right, True Crime X, and I think that's what's kind of annoying about it. Is it's just regular everyday things that happen to everybody, whether it doesn't matter what hour of the day it is, and then they just turn it into something it's not. And I hope that people don't think that about us, that we're just making stuff up. If I feel like if our community says something, it's just to bounce ideas off other people. We're not saying it's fact. I'm not saying it's fact that Xana and Ethan had rugs in their system or didn't have rugs in their system. I'm just saying, with the evidence that we've seen, that we've been given, to me, in my opinion, it shows that there should have been some sort of evidence or remnants of use of something in their system other than alcohol. I think he's been honest by everything but one thing, the plea. And you could very well be right. I mean, we do see that he is brutally honest. I don't know if he'd be brutally honest about unaliving somebody, but in a sense, I do picture him being like that. I do. I could see it. Um, I think that the plea was, he decided to plea either because he was being threatened or he was promised by the people who actually did it, promised that his parents would have an excellent future and he would be taken care of in jail. And if he didn't, they would unalive everybody he knows and loves. I mean, you can't say that he has no emotions and he's void of any emotions. The first thing he asked about, or when he was arrested, the first thing he said was he was concerned and worried about his parents and his dog. Not that he said it last, or that was the last thing on his mind. That was the first thing on his mind. He was worried about other people and an animal. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Monty, you're right. As soon as I read tinfoil hat, I'm like, oh, I'm putting that on there. I don't even know what it says, but I love tinfoil hat stuff. It says, this is tinfoil hat, but it is possible this plea is a front. There was new evidence submitted the Monday prior to the June 18th hearing. Ah. I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for an appeal. And I'm going to put this name in here. If anybody goes over to Birdie's or Phoenix Talks channel, I know they're trying to put some stuff together to get donations and stuff. It's not like a GoFundMe. Apparently, it's more like a, an account at a lawyer's office or something like that. So if you donate, the funds go directly to what they need the money for instead of it going to a person. They're setting a website up for that. And I think one time she said, if you know of anybody that, is a really good lawyer that could take this case, and not just a regular lawyer, but an appellate, one that can do appeals and at this level, to let them know. because they haven't found any yet. And so if anybody goes to her channel, put that name in there and see if she can get in contact with somebody at Kathleen's office. Kathleen Zellner took on Making a Murder case. The dang it, now I can't think of his name. The guy that unalived, which I don't think he did it, unalived the photographer girl that came to take a picture of his car. It's the one in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. And the son, or his nephew, I know somebody's gonna say his name. What is his name? Andrea thinks he's guilty. Oh, I think that a lot of people are swinging that way or think that as well, only because he pleaded guilty. And that to them, that is him saying, yes, I did it, which I get it. Logically, that is what it's saying. But I feel like, especially in court, things aren't just black and white. There's huge gray areas, huge gray areas. And somebody could plead guilty from what we all say, being threatened or being promised something huge. And then talking about the toxicology as well, another person, I have no idea if they're a guilter or a pro-burger or a nothing, but they commented on my post and said, I don't think that it makes sense logically that a medical examiner would lie on a toxicology, especially in a high profile case. And logically, I get that. I can see that. But I feel like the officers shouldn't either. And they shouldn't be lying in their reports either. And that has happened through and through in this case. So it's hard for me to put it past them to be honest and tell the truth. I don't know if they're being honest or not. It's not like everything's been super honest in this case and now we're questioning the medical examiner. No, we've been lied to over and over and over and over. I can't even count all the lies from literally everybody that has anything to do with this case. So it's hard for me to say, oh, yep, the medical examiner is being 1,000% honest. I understand them needing to guard their license with their life and do the right thing. But that should be in any position where you deal with the public and are literally funded by the public. I mean, I know of a fun little quick story in the town I live in. Our coroner was stealing from all the unalived bodies, the jewelry, the money in the pocket, all types of stuff. And they got fired. So yeah, coroners, medical examiners, they're just regular people at the end of the day too. And they can lie and they can steal. Isn't that so sick, Bianca? It's so gross. Like, how could you? And that's an elected position. So the general public in the town elected this person in my town to be the coroner for many, many, many years. And they were not only stealing off of the bodies, whether it be jewelry or cash money or whatever, they were stealing the funds through the city as well. It was a lot of money. A lot of money. So yeah. Okay, Vidrios. Yeah, and I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying anything bad about her at all. I told her, like, I do appreciate your opinion. I am one who is not going to talk crap to somebody just because they have a difference of opinion. I told her I appreciate your opinion. And logically, yes, that makes sense. It does. Um, but to me, once I see in a case that there is lie after lie after lie after lie, people have been unalived that supposedly had nothing to do with this case, and yet Kopaka's name, yet Kopaka's name was brought up by like, there's just too much going on for me to say 100%. Yes, the medical examiner would not lie, and this is correct. This is fact. This is truth. So I wasn't I wasn't being disrespectful at all. I do value other people's opinions. And I do like when um people are, hey Jeff H also, he often has difference of opinion, and he's respectful and I'm respectful to him. That's just how it should be. We're adults. Like, you don't have to be mean to somebody just because they don't think the same way as you. I do. The first one. Do you think the judge almost said Kopaka? I do. Judge. And I could be wrong with that. That's just what my ears heard. Yeah, Jeff has always been very respectful. I've heard other creators like yell at him and ask him to be blocked and stuff. And I'm like, he's always respectful over here. Always. And we appreciate it. Yeah, Kathy does seem very grounded, and what I like about her is she doesn't take little things and then twist them and then run with them. Like, everything she talks about is fact based, and then she just tells her opinion. And that's, I like to try and be that way myself. I don't want to be one of those people that, like, takes one little thing and focuses on it and then twists it and then runs with it like it's fact. I don't like to do that. I do like to bounce ideas off people, but I do also like to stick with the facts that we know. Okay. It wasn't Kopaka, Jeff. You don't think so? I would love to hear or see or whatever you have. Yeah, I would love to see that. Thank you. Hi, Devil Woman. How was your day? Jeff. Oh. Oh, I had some stuff written down. Oh, there was something I wanted to show you guys. It doesn't have anything at all to do with this case, so I'm just going to get it over with. Let me see if I can share this. One moment. Let me see if I can pull it up. Doobie doobie doo. Nope. Nope. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me see if I can open this and share it. It has to do with Delphi. Any of you followed that case? I want to show you something. Mm-hmm. Do. No, 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 not that one. Oh, maybe I have to share a. I'm so bad with technology. So bad with technology. Nope. Maybe in the desktop? Nope. Dang, I don't know how to share this. Huh. Well, let me see if I can file it a different way. I really want to show this to you guys. I'm gonna do this. Whoops. There we go. Okay, let me see if it'll come up this way. Doobie-doo. Oh, darn it. Nope, I don't know why it's not coming up. Poo. Poo. I can't. Darn it. Sorry, guys. I really wanted to show you this, and it is not letting me. I'm going to try one more time. Nope. Not letting me. Anyway, if you take, I can pull something else up real quick. Good Lord, why do I have so many tabs open? Okay, if you take this picture, There we go. This is the Devil's Den killer, unaliver. I made a thing where I put his face next to the sketch of the younger guy from Delphi, and it could definitely pass as him. I don't know if he's ever been in that area. I don't know if he travels. All we know really now is that he was a teacher. But it makes me wonder if he had anything to do with that. Yeah, he's 28, like BK. That's crazy. Yeah, it is. Yes. It is that teacher. Yep. And he looks very similar to the young guy. Doesn't he? Hattie, he has bushy eyebrows. That is so great. He looks like he is off to me as well. But yeah, I don't know if he's ever been in that area, but I think he could definitely pass as the sketch, especially a couple years ago. What was that in 2017? So was it in 2017 that Delphi happened? Holy crap. That seems like It seems like it happened just like 2 years ago. Wowie. But yeah, I think he could pass as this guy. Anyways, that's what I wanted to show you about that. And we talked about that. Oh, we talked about that. Okay, so the next document, I'm not going to read the documents. I'm just going to tell you the next two that we were going to go over. I'm just going to tell you what they are, and then we can talk about that. Hey, Alice. Hey, Schwa 2018. Thanks for being here, guys. So the next document would have been 147 that we were going to go over. And this is the thing that says the older guy was out at 4:20 in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. Now he lives next to, not directly next door, but close in the area. He lives near 1122 King Road. And he said at about 4:25 to 4:30 in the morning, he saw an SUV that was dark drive by his house. He said it seemed like they were driving fast, but not erratically, just a little bit faster than most vehicles drive in that area. Now, they didn't follow up on this lead, of course. That's the third time, the third person that we have heard that they saw a dark colored SUV in that area. The first one was Enon Harsh. The second one was I'll tell you in a second. The second one was police officers. And now this older gentleman who was taking his garbage out at 4 in the morning said he saw this black SUV. And I'm wondering if it's the same SUV, and I'm wondering if it's connected. I don't know what you guys think about that. It could be the same SUV. It could be connected. Apparently, the police even saw the undercover guys who are not honest at all. So who knows? They're probably just trying to cover up their own tracks. They said they saw the dark SUV behind 1122 just sitting there that night. So it could be related. It could even be the actual perpetrators. I have no idea, but I find it odd that now 3 different people have commented and saying that they saw this dark SUV near, next to, or driving by 1122 King Road on the night or in the morning that the crime happened, and also driving away from the scene at a very close time that they want to say Brian Koberger's vehicle was speeding away from the scene. I don't know. I still think that that vehicle that they think is Brian Koberger's is actually the undercover's vehicle. But yeah, I think it's interesting. All they would have to do is look up in whatever database for dark colored SUVs that live in that area, a certain radius from 1122, knock on their doors and say, hey, do you have a dark colored SUV? Okay, cool. Were you driving at this time of night on this day in this area? Who knows what they would come up with? But exactly, Devil Woman. And that's what we're finding in this case. Devil Woman says, I thought everybody said nothing was out of the ordinary. We keep hearing that left and right. Nothing was out of the ordinary. And then here we are with people calling in all of these tips. And it's definitely showing that stuff was weird that night. Even Hunter Johnson got up and locked his door in the middle of the night. Like, somebody had an eerie feeling. Somebody saw something and it turns out that it's a lot of people that had a weird feeling and saw things that weren't normally seen. I mean, I would think a person would know if they were driving at 4 in the morning. Do you go to work at that time? Were you having trouble sleeping and just out driving and it's not something you normally do? It would have been really easy, in my opinion, to find out who this dark colored SUV was in the area. And then if it turns out that the people in the area that do drive a dark SUV weren't driving in that area, then we know that it's somebody who doesn't even live in the area. So what were they doing there? Like, I feel like that would be a lead to follow up on. And they just didn't follow up on any leads whatsoever. I feel like, sweet and salty, you're right. I feel like that is how the reports are written. And to me, not all the time, but a lot of the time when reading these reports, to me, it's saying, without saying it, hey, look over here. Nope, now look over here. Nope, now look at this guy. Oh, it could be this girl. Hey, look at this car. Look at this time. And they're directing and deflecting to a completely different person, different car, different area, different everything than what we actually should be looking at. Yeah. Why was Rosie laying all the way back in an undercover car? Was he hiding from the black SUV? Was he hiding from something? I'm not going to sit here and say that the unalivers were law enforcement, because I think I would get in trouble. But I'm saying they were in the area, and it seems like their reports are the ones that aren't adding up. They are writing reports way later, after they've already gotten their whole spiel together of what they want it to be, what they want it to say, who they want it to be. And then they write their report to reflect that. There are reports in here where they've written a report on something that at the time they wouldn't have known that. So how are you writing that report? Like, somebody wrote a report on the 16th and said something in the report that didn't happen until the 19th. Like, how would you know that on the 16th what's going to happen on the 19th? Yeah, I don't know why Rosie would be laying all the way back. My first initial thought was to make it appear that there's only one person in the car so people don't suspect that they're police officers. But I'm pretty sure, considering they do that all the time, they drive that area all the time, they use that vehicle a lot, people in that area would start to understand that those are the undercovers, especially when they're stopping every person and accusing them of drunk walking, which, like, if people are walking, leave them alone. At least they're not driving. Yeah, exactly. After all the noise complaints, you don't hear the unalivings going on. Something is not adding up. There's The problem with this case is that there's so much not adding up. It's not like one thing here or one thing there. It's that there's so many things, and it's almost every single detail in this case. We've either been misled or completely lied to about a specific detail in this case, or it comes out later and it was not even close to what they told us it would be. And then they tell us we're going to find out so much more information that's really going to tie Kohlberger to the crime. And then it doesn't. And then they stand up and say, well, no, he wasn't stalking. And no, he didn't drive by their house. And no, he never looked them up. And no, he didn't know who they were. And no, he didn't know about this house. And no, he is not connected. But let's arrest him for life. Okay, let's put him in jail. Okay, that sounds good. So yeah, all these documents are the same way. What I don't understand is it seems to me in the documents like Dylan and Bethany are trying to separate themselves from each other. Why? It seems to me like they tried to get a story together, but they didn't do a really good job at following it. And then the other document I wanted to talk about is, I think it's 157. Let me look one sec. $153 is the document, and that is the document. Number one, it's a warrant for Google, and it's a warrant for Google to see who in Moscow or who within a certain radius was looking up the crimes or looking up the victims or looking up certain words that added up to the crime happening, unaliving at this address or King Girls or their name specifically. So it's a warrant specifically for Google for anybody who was looking them up or looking up the address. I mean, there's probably 20 different variations of the crime that happened listed to look up any of the people that were searching for that. And then right below that, in the same freaking document, it says one little sentence. On December 19th, Brian Koberger is the suspect. Brian Koberger became the suspect on December 19th. Nowhere in any other document or anything else is them looking into anything about Brian Koberger. Just randomly in a document that is for a Google warrant, it says at the bottom, Brian Koberger has been identified as the suspect on December 19th. How? Where's the tip for that? Where is the lead? Where is the information that you were looking into Brian Koberger? Where? How? Where did that come from? How did you get to that conclusion? It doesn't say that anywhere in any document. And I think that's super sketchy. So what? You just pulled this random person out of a hat? Or he was one of the people that looked up the crime? Because we know he looked it up 3 days later. It would be odd to me if he didn't ever look it up. He lives in the area. If I hear about a crazy crime happening in my town, I look it up. I think everybody does, or most people do, especially people that are into crime stuff. So having Brian Koberger be on the list of their warrant for Google as somebody, I'm sure there was more than 30,000 people between Washington and Idaho and the surrounding areas that looked that stuff up in the time frame they were asking for. It wasn't before the unalivings, it was after. It was after everybody knew about it. So what, you just picked Brian Koberger out of the list of people that were looking up the crime? Why? He was probably one out of 30,000 people in the area. And I've thought about that too. She says, right? I think Fry just set him up and gave his name since he interviewed him. And I've thought about that too. And it goes along with every victim had police contact, had their IDs, had a picture taken of it. And same with Brian Koberger. He was pulled over so many times, in my opinion. He was pulled over quite a bit. And this was even before the crime even happened. Why was he being pulled over so much? Hi, Christina. Hello, hello. I hope you had a good day too. We're just chit chatting. We talked about two documents basically and about some other stuff. I compared the picture of the Devil's Den unaliver, the teacher guy, and the young sketch from Delphi. And I said that I think they could pass for it. I saw another channel do that as well. And I thought it was very interesting. So I wanted to share too. So those are the documents I really wanted to talk about today. And that puts us, our next document would be 155. And 155 is actually, I'm just going to talk about it real quick. It's interesting to me because that is the document that says they took Jack D's phone. So Jack D came into the station and they asked Jack D if they could take his phone and, go through it to see if there's any messages or anything that would connect him to the crime. But what they ended up doing was not only going through it and hooking it up to Celebrate, but they actually swabbed his phone for DNA. That's how they got his DNA. And then they got his fingerprints off his phone as well. And I kept thinking, hey, Shelly. And I kept thinking, that has to be illegal, isn't it? I don't think they should have been able to just take his DNA from his phone. I thought you either had to have permission to take their DNA or it had to be from a piece of garbage that was discarded. Interesting, right? And then there's a document as well. Now, hey, William. Now, I'm not sure if it's coming up or how, when we'll get to it, but there is a document that basically says that Showalter went in and basically told on Jack D, or said he was skeptical. I heard that from another channel. I haven't gotten to that yet, so don't quote me, but I heard that Jack D was being snitchy pants on, or Jack S was being snitchy pants on Jack D, which I find interesting. A lot of people are saying that Jack D, I keep doing that. Jack S is not the guy we should be looking at. And I disagree. I disagree. And I think that something happened to those blood samples they got out of his apartment on purpose. And I'm not sure why it was done on purpose, but I feel like it was done on purpose. I think that the officers had a big talk with the Scott Green probably, or the university, and were told to leave him alone. Even if he did it, leave him alone. I think that Jack S we know he had blood in his house. It was on his shower curtain. It was on the walls. There was literally spatter of red liquid in his home, in the living room, in the bathroom, on the door handle. Things were cleaned by him that wouldn't normally be cleaned, especially by a college male. And then they get the samples and then they lose it. But before that, Jack S supposedly drove to Boise at 5 in the morning, or to his parents' cabin at 5 in the morning. Conveniently, it's right when it's 15 minutes basically after Murphy stops barking. I mean, that the time frame that he left fits with the unalivings, allegedly, in my opinion. Just saying that so I don't get in trouble. And then, yep, and you are so right. And then calls maintenance Now, I'm wondering if he actually did call maintenance or if somebody else did, knowing what they would find in his apartment, or if the police did and that's how they got into the apartment. Because I'm just curious why somebody who drove to their parents' cabin and is skipping a whole week of class, and then the next week is Thanksgiving, so they're going to be gone for 2 weeks, which is a good time frame to have any wounds heal or any bruises heal and be far away from any single person, and then you move completely away after that. Is very sus to me. I'm not sure why he would need to call maintenance about his water pressure. He's not even going to be there for 2 weeks. That to me just doesn't strike me as a college male thing to do. I mean, I would think that they would just deal with it or deal with it when they got back. He was also calling the police to give them tips. He was calling back to back to back one day. And then another day, I know he was calling at like 11 o'clock at night, asking to speak with somebody. Why? Why are you inserting yourself? Why are you calling so many times? Why are you so worried? And then he finds out, I don't even know when he found out, whenever he came back to his apartment, that they had searched his home. And then he probably complained to somebody, probably his parents or something, and they complained to somebody at the university that's high up or something, and they said, leave him alone. And then suddenly their refrigerator broke. That's just my speculation. I think it's interesting. Oh, you think his dad came to help him? Interesting. Thank you. I also live in an area where hunting is a big deal, and I have friends that hunt, and I've never seen red liquid in their home, especially spatter anywhere. The only time I've seen it is in the back of a truck when they had just gotten like a deer or something. Yeah, Jodi Arias, goodness, that I watched that entire trial live. It was crazy. She is she's weird. Oh yeah, I have heard about that. So, okay, how do you pronounce your last name? I asked you once before. Is it Shunti or just Shunt or Shunt? Shunti, Shunti? Okay. Anyway, thank you for being here as always. So she says, anyone know about the 3 a.m. call near King Road about the passed out individual? Who made that call and hung up? I do remember hearing about that. I absolutely remember hearing about that. I don't know who made the call and I don't know what came of it. But you would think there would be a police presence because of that call, and there wasn't, other than the undercovers who claim they never got the call dispatched to them. They didn't have a report on it. They didn't have a follow-up or anything on a 3 a.m. call about a passed out individual. Really, Top? That's so cool. Jodi Arias was your introduction to true crime. That's awesome. I'm curious what everybody's introduction, what case was it that got you into true crime? I want to know. Put it in the comments for me, please. So, what do you guys think about the toxicology? We know there was going to be Shunte. Shunte? Oh, okay. Cool. I like that. That's different. Bundy got you into it? Hey, Christina. Jean Bonnet. That one's wild. If you dig deep into that one, it's super wild. Christina, this is your first one? Really? Wow. OJ, you know what's crazy? I remember being in third grade. My principal pulled the TV into the gymnasium, and every single class in my elementary school sat in the gym and watched the OJ verdict live on TV all together. And I was the only person who did not clap when they found him not guilty. And I was like, how are you guys finding him not guilty? I was in third grade and I thought he was guilty. I saw a Kanika Jenkins. Funny story, not funny at all, actually. Crazy story. I was in the parking lot of that hotel when that happened. A couple of days later, I went back to the hotel. I went down to the bottom floor and I went to go to the restroom. And while I was using the restroom, I was the only one in there. All the lights shut off on me and I ran out screaming and never went back. But to this day, I have not been able to find her grave. Isn't that wild? Yeah, I remember Kanika Jenkins. I live not too far from there. And that was a very wild road with her case as well. Just because there were weird things happening to like pictures and stuff, I remember. All right. Michael Jackson trial. Girl, when was that? Katrina Smith. Yep. Todd Smith. Who else? Who else? The toxicology shows the killers knew exactly what they were doing. You don't get to the subclavicle veins and arteries just by chance on multiple victims. Yeah. So that's absolutely true. And they got the subclavian vein and artery, subclavicle artery, both from the front and from the back. As somebody myself who is not trained in that and has never unalived anybody, that's not a place I would think to hurt somebody at. I think the jugular, the large one in your leg. I do know there's one like in here, which might be the subclavian or subclavicle that flows down. I'm not sure. I just know there's something right there. I wouldn't go for that one. But if I had to try and hurt somebody, mine would just be the jugular, probably. Jugular. 2005. Oh my goodness. I forgot about that. Um, oh, the Murdoch. Yeah, that one was wild. I didn't really get super into that one. I'm just surprised that Brian Koberger's is your first for YouTube, Christina. That's crazy. Summer Wells. Yeah. Hi, Victoria. Why was the dog there? Hey, Susan. Susan. You didn't miss a whole lot today. I was talking about, earlier I was talking about somebody shared my post and twisted my words. I was just being transparent with you guys of what's going on with, other people and stuff. I like to be as transparent as I can. I just want to make sure you guys know like what I am working on. I talked about 3 documents, weren't a huge deal. That was about it, really. No, I haven't picked a name yet for chat. I have not. I was thinking like just the pack, but I feel like that doesn't really, it's not flowy to me. I want it to be a little bit maybe like pun or flow or, something that, whoops. Oh, we talked about the toxicology as well. Susan, what do you think about the toxicology? It says different levels of intoxication of alcohol, obviously, but then it says there's no evidence of illicit drug use. I am not calling us the puppy pads. I am not. I'm not getting peed on. Also, I put a name in the chat. I'll do it one more time. If any of you go to Birdie's or Phoenix's channel, I know they're looking for a lawyer. They're taking donations. Donations are not being sent to one person in particular. It's going to be sent to whatever they're working on. It like goes straight to whatever they're working on. I'm not sure what it is, but exactly. It's like a website or something. I don't know. And they're doing it to get donations for a lawyer. And they're asking if anybody knows of a good lawyer that could take an appeal case like this. And Kathleen Zellner definitely can. So if anybody goes over there and you hear them ask, pop that name in there and see if they can talk to anybody in her office. It was in Xana's room on her desk. Now, if you notice as well, when that is documented, they don't say it was in a baggie, right? Or in anything at all. They say the bill was laying next to the powder. So in my mind, I am seeing somebody had made a line and was either going to do it when they got home or if they went back out or whatever. But to me, if there's no baggie or anything, that's not the first line that they did. Or that wasn't what they were starting with. To me, that is the ending of it. That's what I thought, that it was Adderall and they snorted it. I mean, their friends even say that Xana and Ethan were really, really into Coca-Cola and Adderall. And for it to be just laying out on the desk, I mean, if somebody has rugs left over and they're not going to use it, they don't just pour it out on the desk. Like they put it in something and they put it away, like for safekeeping for next time or whatever. Dylan and Xana were pretty much rugged up all day. I could see that. And the reason that I agree with that is because Dylan admitted that she was on something. Don't get me wrong. She didn't say like I was on rugs. She made it sound like it was just alcohol. And we do know how much she drank. And I would be deceased if I drank that much. But she was able to drink that much. But the way she was explaining stuff and talking made it sound like she was hallucinating or that there was some, like she had taken something is what I'm trying to say. That's what it sounded like to me. Just my opinion. Don't take that as fact. It's just my opinion. Thanks, Victoria. I love that you're here. Did the toxicology report show when the rugs, or no? I haven't seen them yet or heard about them. No, I haven't seen the actual report itself. I haven't looked at it. I don't even know if there is an actual report. I didn't dig for it. I just put in Google the toxicology results, and it told me that there were different levels of intoxication, but no illicit substances found in any of the victims. My question was, that's okay, Christina. I got what you were saying, girl. My question is, did they test for specific rugs, or did they just test for alcohol? Like, how do we know what they tested for? Because I guess that could explain why something didn't show up if they didn't even test for that specific rug. You know what I mean? I know there's different panels of tests that can be taken. I don't know how it is in an autopsy, though. That's what I'm hoping for, Susan. I'm hoping for videos. I'm hoping for body worn cameras of inside the house. I know that they absolutely will not show us videos of the victims. I know that. But I've seen it done where they will blur out the victims in the body worn camera and release the body worn camera. I have a feeling in this case that they will not do that. But we can only hope. I want to see that. I want to get a feel of, like how the house, how the layout was when you're actually in it and there's furniture in there, and where the red liquid was found. Was there some in the kitchen like we see, or we think we see? Was that? I want to see up the stairs and what that looks like from a first person point of view. Hi, Sally. I don't know. I would hope so. I would think that would help tell the time. And I think that that's important. And I think that most people are wondering, or a lot of people are probably wondering, what time did they pass? Because that makes a huge difference. And I know that the coroner is saying anywhere between 2 and 5, or anywhere beginning at 2 a.m. Well, that's pretty broad. That doesn't tell us much. They're still blurring out certain road. Yeah. Yep. Cops have lied about everything. And I was also saying before some of you got here that somebody, I think her name was Kathy, made a comment on my post today, and she was very respectful, and I was very respectful to her, and I told her I value her opinion. It's okay to just disagree with people and be nice. That's okay to do. And she said, logically, I don't think a medical examiner would risk their license, especially in a high profile case, with lying about the results, which logically makes sense. I get what she's saying. It's just that we've come this far, and now we know how often we're lied to and who we're lied to by. And it seems like it's almost everybody that's in law enforcement. So it's hard for me to believe that the coroner wouldn't maybe mislead or say it a certain way so it sounds a certain way, but really that's not how it was. Look at what case was it? His last name was Johnson, and he was a basketball player in high school, and he was found upside down in the mats. and they're not sure if he fell into the mat trying to reach his shoe or if somebody beat him, and he looks very much beaten. The coroner or the medical examiner in that case lied. It's not that uncommon that coroners lie in high profile cases, whether they're paid off or Fred, yeah. Um, reputational reasons, they didn't want to know the toxicology truth. Mabbitt said the tox tests were unnecessary. She did. She said basically it has no bearing on the crime itself and what happened, so who cares? And when she said that, I was like, you have got to, are you actually a coroner? You have got to be kidding me. That makes a huge difference. It matters on if they were incapacitated to fight back or not, or having lots of alcohol in your system and certain drugs can make your blood thinner. It can make you pass away faster, make you bleed out faster. I mean, it matters. The toxicology is in there in 32. Or is that just the autopsy? Oh, 32 is just the autopsy. I don't think it has the medical or the toxicology in it that I know of. Yes, Kendrick. Yes, thank you. Kendrick Johnson. Yes, stop that right now. Into a rolled up wrestling mat, right? Yep. And it was vertical. The mat was vertical, so it was kind of high. Apparently he was sitting on top of it, reached in to grab his shoe, fell in, and then was basically suffocated. But a lot of people don't believe that because he was in a fight with the coach's son or the police officer's son, I think it was. I think he's a detective or something. He was in a fight with the detective's kid or whatever it was, so they botched the whole thing. When the family had his body, they took his body and hired somebody else to do a second autopsy, and when they reopened him, every organ was missing and it was replaced with literally newspaper. Devil Woman, yes, I did see part of it. Excuse me, part of it, not all of it. And that is very interesting, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Because they did do RAPE swabs. They did. They took swabs of, yeah, Schwa 2018. They did do swabs of pubic, anal, wrists. I mean, they did wrists obviously to see if they were bound. It's hard to decipher what's fact in the document and what is made up. And the more we read them and the more people dig into them, we're finding that a lot of the times in the documents, the reports are being written after the fact. And so they're just writing the report from what they want it to look like rather than what actually happened. They're like curtailing the report to fit what they want it to be. Or they'll write a report on something that didn't even happen until 3 days later. How would you know that? Yes, Fred. Agree. I do too, Susan. And I'm wondering if we'll ever get that stuff. I want to see that too. I want to see his body language. I can picture him talking. Obviously, we've seen him interact and talk, but I want to see his body language, his facial expressions, what he actually says. I want to see if he has any injuries in later videos. I want to see how he was treated. I want to see what was said on both parties, both ends. I think it makes a difference for us to see that kind of stuff. Really, all of those were destroyed. Well, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I don't think we'll see any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, we don't have anything to verify Brian Koberger telling the truth or not. And I know that a lot of guilters will say that, we're Looney Tunes, and even if we had all the information that pointed directly to BK, we would still say he didn't do it. I don't believe that. No, just give me some factual proof. And the tiny trace amount of DNA that's less than a secondary transfer doesn't do it for me. And it's on a removable object. Had his DNA been on like the wall, okay, maybe. And if it had been a larger quantity of DNA, okay, like we're getting closer to me thinking it could be possible. But with what we've been given and what they've stood up and said in the courtroom, wasn't stalking, wasn't sexual, didn't know them, didn't come in contact, basically saying he didn't commit this crime without saying he didn't commit this crime. Give me more, give me something. And if you can't, then there's your answer. You messed up. I would too, Beatrice. I'd like to see all the other knives tested. I mean, for goodness sake, I'd like to see the dang DNA tested. The other DNA. Unknown male A, unknown male C and D, and to think that I think of how much they missed. There could be unknown male DNA all the way up to unknown male DNA ZA. The fact that they got the samples of only a handful of things, and they have that much unknown male DNA that's different from each other tells me a lot. They should have had hundreds of fingerprints and DNA samples from that house. If it was a party house, how would you only get 3? Somebody wasn't doing their job. That's how you only get 3 or 4. Yeah, I want to know who the 4 brothers are too. I do too. I wondered that too. How did they know they were male if they weren't tested? I'm not good with that. I don't understand genealogy and DNA. I don't understand how that works. The only thing I do know about is the experiment from UC Davis, just because that piqued my interest. And I was so interested that I completely understood what they were saying. Other than that, I don't know how that works. I don't know if you can run like a standard test on DNA that shows you whether it's male or female, and that's it. And then you have to do different tests to figure out who it belongs to. I don't know how that works. I wonder if Ellie wore gloves when they gave him a ticket. It's funny you say that. Somebody else was reading a document today, and the document was about the bloody glove that was found in the front yard next to the caution tape down at the end, closer to the end of the driveway. And they were reading a report on how and when that was found. And I noticed, the person reading it didn't catch this, but I noticed that the officer who found it said he couldn't get it off the ground because it was frozen to the ground. So it had to have been there for a couple days. And then after that, it says He asked for a pair of gloves to pick it up and get it off the ground. You mean you were touching it without having gloves on? That's what I got from it. So when they collected the evidence, they didn't even have gloves on. And it makes me wonder, what other evidence did you collect without gloves on? Oh, good to know, sweet and salty. CODIS identifies gender. Cool, good to know. Exactly, Fred. I don't think that that's very hard. I'm curious if anybody has asked him. I'm so curious if anybody has asked him, if you really did this, where's the weapon? That's all you would have to do. And if he says it's in the river, blah 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 blah, between this area and that area, and they don't find it, I don't think it would be super difficult to find the vicinity of it. They would have to do like certain measurements on the water and the flow and, you know, stuff like that, how the water flows and how long it takes an object to get from here to there, and figure it out. Figure out where it could possibly be, and then look there. Susan, that is I always call him McDougal. McDonough. I don't. This is the glove that was found on the 24th, either the 20th or the 24th. I haven't found a document yet that says that he found a glove. The documents, I think that is the glove. I'm pretty sure that's the glove that he claims he found, but in the document, it doesn't say he found it. It says the officer found it. So if this was organized crime with the corruption we see, they could tell him what to say about the weapon. The secrecy has me all, yeah, me all fugged up. Yeah, it's hard to, at this point, had this investigation been an honest, transparent investigation, and everything that was released matched everything that they said and everything they gave us, and they followed every tip properly and dug deep and did everything they could, and there was more evidence that pointed to Brian Koberger, and then Brian Koberger said, yes, I did it, and then he gave the whereabouts of the weapon, and then they found it. Totally different story, that I might then believe that he did it, right? If you can tell me where the weapon is honestly, and it's there, and everything was open and honest and transparent in the investigation, and it was a really well done investigation, then I would believe it. But the fact that almost every single thing we see doesn't add up, only gives us more questions, doesn't even relate or add up to the report they write on what they did, doesn't even add up with each other. It's hard for me to believe anything now. Yeah, Fred, they were afraid of Brian's answer. He doesn't know where the knife is, where the bloody clothes are. They knew his answer would stop the plea from going through. I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't. I don't think he knows where it's at. And I think if he were to, we know that he can be very honest. I'm sure when he was using, he wasn't. But I think in his regular, non-using, everyday life, he tries to be an honest person. And I think that unfortunately for them, when they ask him where the weapon and the bloody clothes are, he would say, I don't know. He would be honest in saying that. And then they would be screwed. And what you just said, that plea wouldn't have gone through. No way. I agree. Oh, for sure, Susan. I think it seems sloppy because we're getting the summary. It was horribly sloppy. The part that just gets me is every single tip. Number one is not recorded. When they call the people back and talk to them, it's not recorded. And then it's not followed up on. And it's every single tip not followed up on. The only tip that I've seen so far that's been followed up on is the tip where they say such and such was a rug dealer. And they tried to figure out who this rug dealer was. But that's only because they wanted to be heroes to the FBI and their takedown of a rug ring. That's it. That's the only tip that was followed up on. And it wasn't even followed up on that well. They just called around to other places asking if they knew who a rug dealer was. That's it. Any other tip? Not followed up on. They absolutely messed up from day one. And the fact that they are writing their reports to reflect what happened in the case and not what they actually did, right? It's like they're writing this report to go with what they wanted it to say, not what actually happened. The fact that they're doing that tells me they know they messed up. So now they have to make stuff up in these reports to go along with everything they messed up on and what they did and what they ruined and what they covered up and everything else, what they didn't follow up on. Yeah, good point. He could simply just say, ask him, what was the mortal wound? What was the last wound that did each person in? Where was it? I guess with Ethan, we already know that, but, or what was the weapon used on Kaylee? Tell us that. All right, guys. It's been about an hour and a half. I'm going to hop off. I have to go to Walmart tonight. Blech. I hate going to Walmart. But I do. I have to go to Wally World. So I am going to hop off. I just want to say thank you to every single person for always showing up over here. And for some of the people that didn't come in right in the beginning, I had asked in the very beginning, what time works for you guys best just during the week? During the week, I want to make sure that I'm going live at a time that works for you guys. I would hate to go on at 5:15 and that doesn't really work for a ton of people. So let me know in the comments if this time at 5:15 works good for you, or if you'd rather do an 8 o'clock or a 9 o'clock. I know that's getting kind of late for some people, especially on the East Coast. But if this time works, we can do this time. It works for me too. Cool. We'll keep it at this time. If we need to change it, we always can. Thanks, Sweet and Salty. And then we'll figure out a time that works on weekends too. I don't want to go live when they're, like Birdie's going live or anything like that. I want to have our own time that doesn't interfere with anybody else's time. That way we can talk about what they talk about too. We can follow up on and say what we think about what they find. I think the ChatGPT stuff is very interesting. I do. I think that's neat that he does that, because I've tried it and it did not work for me. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here. I hope everybody has a great night. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind, but more importantly, Be kind to your doggy or your cat or your animal or your fish or whatever you have, or your babies, whatever. Bronxy will enjoy the Walmart. Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Fizzy. I don't have one yet. Should I get one, Fizzy? I'll look into it. Bye, Christina. Thanks for showing up. Thanks, Top and Susan, Devil Woman, Schwa 2018, Fizzy, Christina, Susan, Schwa, G Wiz, Devil Woman, Bianca, of course. Thank you so much. Sweet and Salty, Susan, Shante, Miss Shante. I'm probably still butchering that. City Girl, Janelle, Fred, Beatrice, Monty, of course. Did I say Christina? I'm pretty sure I did. Stop that right now. Sally, Victoria. I think I said Top, right? Okay. Pumpkin. All right, guys. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off. Bye, guys.